Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Mal and I make Tumbler tutorials here on YouTube. Today's tutorial is going to be a fairly simple one. I have these two patterns, one from Gracefully Created and one from BAMF Custom Creations, and as I was organizing my vinyl and trying to get it all together, I had those two laying next to each other and I saw them and I thought, those kind of go together. So that's what inspired me to create this design. We're going to use a new glitter from PDB to tie everything together. So I really hope that you enjoy it. It was really fun to put together and I'm really happy with the final result. So if you like the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below as well. I will have a list of all the products I'm using down below in the description box, so if you want to know where I got anything I'm using in the video, that would be a great place to look. I'll also have links to all of my social media pages, my Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook group, Patreon group, all of that good stuff will be linked down below for you as well. Okay, I think that's it. I really hope you enjoy the video. Let's go! We'll be using a 30-ounce skinny screw top tumbler for this design, so I'm going to screw the lid off and set it aside. We'll work on it at the very end. And we're going to use some vinyl from Gracefully Created and a semi-transparent sticker cal sheet from BAMF Custom Creations to create this design. So we're going to start with this striped pattern vinyl. Like I said, this is from Gracefully Created. I do have a code for 10% off down in the description box if you want to order. She has great pattern vinyl and some great clear cast decals as well. So I'm taking this piece of vinyl and I'm just going to measure, eyeball basically, where I'm going to put this. I want to do a half and half split design here, and I want the stripes to end at the right place so that when we go and glitter the bottom, it will look right. So I just trimmed following one of those stripes, making sure that the bottom stripe is going to match the color of the glitter that we're going to use basically. So now I'm going to wrap this around my cup. I'm going to use a piece of painter's tape to help anchor that vinyl down. And because this is a stripe design, I really want to take the extra time and make sure that these stripes line up perfectly when they come together. We really don't even want to see the seam at all. We want to make sure that this lines up as perfectly and as seamlessly as possible. So I'm going to cut off about an inch of the backing from my vinyl, lay it down on my cup, and then I'm going to wrap it around again to make sure, again, that this is as straight as can be. And once it's as straight as can be, I'm going to smooth the rest of the vinyl onto the cup. I'm just using my thumbs here, pushing the backing off of the vinyl as I smooth the vinyl onto the cup. And make sure that when you get to the end, you remember to remove your piece of tape before you lay your vinyl down. Make sure it's all smoothed down, and then you can just lay the rest of your vinyl down on your cup. Cut off the excess. It's a small little sliver, especially for this size cup, but I like to keep all of my scraps and everything just in case. But there we go. You can see the seam lines up pretty perfectly, and under epoxy, that's really going to just be super disguised. So I'm going to lay everything down flat, and then I'm going to turn the cup over, hit it with my heat gun so that we can pull that vinyl down under or over that bottom rim. And now this step really doesn't matter because like I said, we're going to glitter the bottom here, but if you wanted to just, finish the bottom a different way, having that seamless line from your vinyl going down onto the bottom of your cup, in my opinion, I think it always just looks really nice. So once we have that finished, I'm going to take some blue painter's tape and tape off that top edge of the vinyl so that we can base paint the top of our cup. Now I'm using Ecru from Pop of Color Paints as my base for this. You can use acrylic paint, spray paint, whatever type of base color you want. The glitter we're going to use is Epiphany from PDB, and I really like this kind of cream eggshell almost color under Epiphany. It really gives it a really nice look. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to do one coat, let that dry, and then I'll do another coat and mix in a little bit of the Crystalaca glitter glue in that coat as well as the adhesive for our glitter. So here we go in with Epiphany. It is a beautiful glitter. This is a newer release from PDB. If you don't have it, I would grab it because it's super duper pretty. So I'm going to cover the entire top half of my cup, set this aside, let it dry for 2 hours. Like, look at that. Look at Epiphany. Woohoo. She probably looks so pretty on different colored bases. I'm going to remove my tape, then let it sit aside for at least 2 hours. Once it's dry, I'm going to seal this top glitter portion with my glitter glue. I really want to prevent as much glitter movement down into that vinyl section as possible. I want to keep that section as clean and as clear as I can. So once I've got that sealed, I'm going to set it aside, let it dry for, you guessed it, 2 hours, and then I'm going to go in with my first coat of epoxy here. So for this coat, I'm using Mr. Nola's Glitter Speed Dry Epoxy. I really like this one. I've been testing out a whole bunch of different epoxies and epoxy-free alternatives, and I'm really liking Mr. Nola's so far. So I did 2 coats of epoxy on my cup, sanded down the bottom, and you can see I didn't put enough epoxy down there. It kind of pulled the vinyl up, but that was totally fine because we're going to glitter it anyway. So I'm just going to sand this bottom down really well, clean it off with some rubbing alcohol, and then it will be ready to be taped off and glittered. I'm taking my blue painter's tape and I'm going to tape off that very bottom edge of that last green stripe we have so that the entire cream stripe on the bottom of our cup is covered in glitter, and so that glitter just kind of looks like a continuation of our stripes, if that makes sense. So I'm going to actually spray paint this bottom portion. I'm using Sensible Brown from Montana Colors. You can use the same base paint obviously that you use on the top of the cup on the bottom, but it's just easier to spray paint the bottom in my opinion. Once the spray paint was all dry, I went in again with the Crystal glitter glue as my adhesive, and I'm using the same glitter that I used on the top of the cup. This is again Epiphany from PDB. I'm just going to cover that entire bottom section really well, make sure we've got really good coverage, and I'm going to set this aside and let it dry for the full 2 hours. Once it's dry, I'll go in and seal this bottom glitter portion with the same glitter glue, the same way I always do, and then I'll remove my tape and let this sit. I think I let this sit overnight. So once it's totally dry and sealed, we haven't gone in with another coat of epoxy yet. We're going to do our semi-transparent vinyl up on the top of our cup. I sanded down the top rim really well, but you don't want to do any more sanding. You want to put down this semi-transparent vinyl on a shiny surface. You kind of want to think of it as a water slide. If you put it on a dull surface, that part won't shine up once you put the epoxy on top. So I trimmed this vinyl down to fit the top half of our cup, and I'm going to apply it the same way I would a regular piece of pattern vinyl. I'm going to use that bottom edge of my tape, or I guess the top edge of my tape with the bottom edge of the vinyl. I'm going to lay that on, using that as my guide to keep my vinyl placed as straight as possible. So I'm lining that bottom edge of the vinyl up with the top edge of my tape, and then I'm going to use another piece of blue painter's tape to secure one edge of the vinyl down, just how we did in the beginning, to make sure that we get this as straight as possible. Once I've got it positioned where I want it, I'm going to use the felt edge of my little squeegee tool here to help me push the vinyl onto the cup. Again, make sure you remove your tape before you have your seams meet. And with these patterns, I like to take my craft knife before I line the seams up and cut off any pieces or edges that have that straight edge on them. And this is going to kind of help us get a seamless look. So once I've done that on one side, I'll push the rest of the vinyl onto my cup, and then I'll cut off all of the pieces that have that straight edge on the other side, and then we'll be left with a really nice flush seamless pattern. I'm also going to remove all of this vinyl up at the top rim of the cup, the same way I normally do with any pattern wrap. I'm going to just run my knife along the top edge of the cup, and then I'll run it along the top edge again at about a 45-degree angle and just cut away all of that little excess vinyl that's hanging out up there. If you're left with any blank spots from where you cut away your straight edged pieces, you can always go in and add just a few more little elements like I did here from a scrap piece of this vinyl. And once I've done that, I'm going to cut any excess off this top edge of tape. I had a little bit of excess. I didn't place this perfectly straight, so I just trimmed that off and then I removed all of my tape, and now we've got a perfectly straight seam. To add a nice finishing touch to this middle seam where the two patterns meet, I'm going to use a strip of textured metallic vinyl from Cricut. This is gold textured metallic, and I just cut out a stripe at 0.01 1.13 inches wide, I believe. So I'm going to apply that, and then I'm going to go in with 2 more coats of epoxy on my cup. So now our cup is finished, but we're going to work on the lid. So with the stainless lid, I'm going to base paint it using my pop of color paints. And now I chose a different color for the lid than I used for the top body of the cup. I wanted it to kind of match the bottom of the cup so that we had the same look on the very top and the very bottom. So I did that. I glittered it with the same glitter, Epiphany. And then I'm going to go in with a coat of UV resin. I'm using UV resin from CC DIY, and I'm just spreading it very carefully all over the lid with a gloved finger, making sure that I do on the sides of the lid a very, very thin coat because I don't want the resin to drip down and be messy and all that before it cures. So you can do as many coats of this as you'd like. I broke mine up into, I did a coat on the top, and then I did a thin coat like you can see here on the sides of the lid. So I did 2 coats total on the entire lid, and then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more of this vinyl that we used on the top half of the cup on the lid as well. And now obviously this is totally optional. You can just leave your lid glittered. If you wanted to leave your lid plain, you can do that as well. But I had all this vinyl, I figured I might as well just add a little bit more to the design. So I just took a little sliver of that vinyl we had left over, and I'm going to cut out all of these tiny little shapes and just place them all over the lid. Once I had all my elements placed, I went in with another coat of UV resin, and I'll probably do a little bit of light sanding and then add another coat of resin to the lid just to make sure everything is totally smooth. But that is it for this tutorial, you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you like the tutorial. I hope you're inspired. And if you did like the video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button down below. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button while you're down there. I upload a brand new Tumbler tutorial every single week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, love you. Bye. I saw these two. I saw them. See you later.